stop right now and answer this honestly. When's the last time you spent an entire day focused on you? Not your job, not your family, not your friends' problems, not your social media feed, just you, your growth, your goals, your dreams, your mental health, your future. If you can't remember, you're like 99% of people who've completely lost themselves trying to please everyone else, meet everyone else's expectations, and live everyone else's definition of success. Justice O. Malcolm's Rebuild Yourself delivers a message most people desperately need but refuse to hear. You've been neglecting the most important person in your life, yourself. And that neglect is destroying your potential, your happiness, and your future. You're so busy being everything to everyone else that you've become nothing to yourself. You're running on empty, wondering why life feels exhausting and unsatisfying despite doing everything right. Here's the uncomfortable truth Malcolm forces you to face. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't build anyone else up while you're falling apart. You can't achieve your potential while ignoring your own growth. You can't create the life you want while living according to everyone else's blueprint. At some point, you have to stop, step back, and rebuild yourself from the ground up, or you'll break completely. The subtitle says everything. Let your focus be on you every day. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. Not when everyone else is taken care of. Every single day. This isn't selfish. It's essential. The strongest, most successful, most fulfilled people are those who prioritize their own growth, health, and development consistently. They understand that self-focus isn't narcissism. It's the foundation of everything else you want to build. Over the next 30 minutes, you're getting 8 powerful principles for completely rebuilding yourself. These aren't comfortable lessons about adding morning routines or being more positive. These are hard truths about taking radical responsibility for your life, eliminating toxic patterns, and committing to daily self-development, regardless of what anyone else thinks. If you're ready to stop living for everyone else and start building the person you're meant to become, let's go. Chapter 1. Accept brutal honesty. You created your current reality. Malcolm's first principle is the hardest pill to swallow. Your current life, everything you're unhappy about, is your own creation, not your parents' fault, not your circumstances, not bad luck, not the economy. You made choices that led here. Until you accept complete responsibility, you can't rebuild anything because you're still blaming external factors for internal problems. This teaching destroys victim mentality. Malcolm isn't saying bad things haven't happened to you. They have, and they might not have been fair. But continuing to blame those things for your current state 5, 10, or 20 years later is choosing to remain a victim. At some point, you have to say, whatever happened before, I'm responsible for what happens next. He introduces the concept of responsibility, your ability to respond. You might not control what happens to you, but you absolutely control how you respond. Someone who loses their job can respond by falling apart and staying unemployed for months, or by immediately seeking new opportunities and potentially finding something better. Same event, completely different outcomes based on response. Malcolm shares his own story of hitting rock bottom, failed relationships, financial struggles, depression, feeling completely lost. For years, he blamed circumstances, other people, and bad luck. Nothing changed until he looked in the mirror and admitted, I created this through my choices, my habits, and my mindset. If I created it, I can change it. That acceptance was the turning point. The brutal self-assessment he recommends: write down everything you're unhappy about in your life. Your health, relationships, finances, career, living situation, everything. Then, beside each item, write the choices, habits, or patterns that created or contributed to that situation. This exercise is painful because it reveals that most of your problems are self-inflicted through poor decisions, avoidance, or settling. People hate this teaching because accepting responsibility feels like admitting you're a failure. Malcolm flips this. Accepting responsibility is empowering. If external factors control your life, you're helpless. You can't change the economy, other people, or the past. But if you created your situation through your choices, you can change it through better choices. Responsibility equals power. He addresses the yes, but responses people give. Yes, but I had a difficult childhood. Yes, but the economy is bad. Yes, but I have responsibilities. Malcolm's response: countless people had worse childhoods, faced worse economies, and had more responsibilities. Yet, they built successful lives. Your yes, but is your excuse for staying stuck. The psychological shift is from external locus of control to internal locus of control. External locus means you believe outside forces determine your outcomes. Internal locus means you believe your actions determine your outcomes. Research consistently shows that people with internal locus of control are more successful, happier, and healthier. They don't wait for circumstances to change. They change their responses to circumstances. Malcolm emphasizes that this isn't about self-blame or guilt. Those emotions are useless. It's about clear-eyed assessment that enables change. I made poor financial decisions isn't guilt. It's recognition that better decisions will produce better results. I chose toxic relationships isn't self-blame. It's understanding that choosing differently creates different outcomes. He introduces the concept of brutal honesty inventory, areas where you need complete honesty with yourself. Are you truly working as hard as you tell yourself? Are you really eating as well as you claim? Are you actually spending your time productively or wasting hours daily? Most people lie to themselves constantly, which prevents improvement because you can't fix problems you won't admit exist. The action step is the hardest one in this entire book. Complete a written self-assessment with brutal honesty. List everything you're unhappy about. Identify every choice, habit, or pattern that contributed to each problem. Write down what you've been lying to yourself about. Then read it out loud to yourself. This confrontation with reality is painful. It's also the essential first step in rebuilding yourself. Chapter 2. Eliminate toxic people, even if they're family. Malcolm's second principle is equally uncomfortable. Some people in your life are actively destroying your potential, and you need to eliminate them, even if they're family, old friends, or partners. This teaching triggers massive resistance because we're taught loyalty matters above all else. Malcolm argues that loyalty to toxic people is disloyalty to yourself. He defines toxic people clearly: those who consistently drain your energy, undermine your goals, criticize your growth, enable your bad habits, or create unnecessary drama. They might not be evil. They might love you in their way. But their presence in your life prevents you from becoming who you need to become. The most common toxic relationship is with people who want you to stay the same because your growth threatens them. When you start exercising, they offer you junk food. When you start building a business, they remind you of everyone who failed. When you start improving, they mock your efforts. These people need you to stay at their level because your elevation highlights their stagnation. Malcolm shares the difficult truth. Sometimes family members are your biggest obstacles. The parent who constantly criticizes, the sibling who resents your success, the spouse who sabotages your goals. We're told family is forever, and you can't cut out family. But Malcolm argues that toxic is toxic regardless of DNA. You don't owe anyone access to your life if they're destroying it. The guilt around eliminating people is enormous. But we've been friends for 20 years. But they're going through a hard time. But they need me. Malcolm's response: you can't save people who don't want to save themselves. You can't help people by drowning alongside them. You can't sacrifice your future for their comfort. He introduces the concept of energy vampires, people who leave you feeling drained, anxious, or depressed after every interaction. Notice how you feel after spending time with different people. Some leave you energized and inspired. Others leave you exhausted and discouraged. Your life should be filled with the first group, not the second. Malcolm distinguishes between people going through temporary difficulties who deserve support and perpetually negative people who choose victimhood. Supporting someone through genuine crisis is different from enabling someone's decades-long pattern of complaining without changing. True friends support your growth. Toxic people resent it. The elimination process he recommends: start with complete elimination of the most toxic relationships. If someone is actively destructive, cut them out entirely. No calls, no meetings, no social media. For moderately toxic people, create distance, reduce contact, set boundaries, limit time together. For family you can't completely eliminate. Establish strict emotional boundaries and minimize exposure. He addresses the "but I'll hurt their feelings" concern. Malcolm's response: their feelings aren't your responsibility, especially when they've shown no concern for yours. You're allowed to prioritize your mental health, goals, and future over someone else's comfort. Being uncomfortable with your boundaries is their problem, not yours. Malcolm also emphasizes that toxic people rarely accept elimination peacefully. They'll guilt trip, manipulate, play victim, or send others to convince you to return. This is normal. Your job is maintaining boundaries regardless of their reaction. They had their chance to be supportive and chose otherwise. Their discomfort with consequences isn't your emergency. The action step: identify the 3 most toxic people in your life. Write specifically how each person negatively affects you. Then choose an action for each. Complete elimination, severe reduction in contact, or strict boundaries. Execute within 30 days. This will be one of the hardest things you do. It's also one of the most transformative. Chapter 3. Build unshakable daily discipline. Malcolm's third principle is that rebuilding yourself requires daily discipline that operates regardless of motivation, feelings, or circumstances. Motivation is temporary and unreliable. Discipline is permanent and dependable. The person you want to become is built through thousands of small, disciplined actions, not occasional bursts of inspiration. He defines discipline clearly: doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Most people only do things when motivated. Disciplined people do them especially when unmotivated because they understand results come from consistency, not intensity. Malcolm introduces the non-negotiables concept, daily actions you complete no matter what. Not most days, not when convenient, every single day without exception, unless you're literally hospitalized. These become as automatic as brushing your teeth. Examples might be 30 minutes of exercise, reading 20 pages, working on your business, practicing a skill, journaling. The power of non-negotiables is they compound. Reading 20 pages daily doesn't feel significant, but it's 7,300 pages yearly, roughly 25 books. Someone who reads 25 books yearly will know vastly more than someone who reads 0. Over a decade, the gap becomes enormous. Small, disciplined actions compound into massive results. He shares his personal non-negotiables. Wake at 5 a.m., exercise for an hour, read for 30 minutes, work on business for 2 hours before anything else, journal for 10 minutes before bed. These 5 non-negotiables execute daily, regardless of circumstances. They've executed through sick days, travel, family emergencies, and life chaos. This consistency built everything he has. Malcolm addresses the resistance. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I have responsibilities. His response: everyone has 24 hours. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company has the same 24 hours as you. The difference is how those hours are used. Disciplined people protect their non-negotiables by eliminating or minimizing less important activities. He introduces productive pain. Discipline feels uncomfortable initially because you're fighting habits and resistance. But this discomfort is productive. It's building the person you want to become. Most people avoid all discomfort, which keeps them trapped. Disciplined people embrace productive pain because they know it's temporary, but results are permanent. The no 0 days rule is crucial. No day can be a complete zero where you do nothing toward your goals. Even sick in bed, you can read for 15 minutes or journal. Even exhausted after work, you can do 10 push-ups. The commitment is progress daily, even if minimal. 0 days break momentum and make restarting harder. Malcolm emphasizes that discipline isn't about being hard on yourself or never enjoying life. It's about priorities. Disciplined people do their non-negotiables first, then enjoy life guilt-free. Undisciplined people try to enjoy life first, then never get to important things because time and energy are gone. Discipline creates freedom by handling priorities early. He addresses the "I'll start Monday" trap. People constantly delay starting discipline until next week, next month, or next year. Malcolm's rule: start immediately with whatever time remains today. If it's 11 p.m. when you read this, do 5 minutes of something. Starting now, even imperfectly, beats perfect planning that never begins. The 21-day and 66-day rules. Research suggests 21 days of consistency begins building habits, and 66 days solidifies them. Your non-negotiables will feel forced and difficult for the first 3 weeks. If you persist, they start feeling natural. By 2 months, they're automatic. But you only reach automaticity by pushing through the difficult early phase. Malcolm shares that discipline compounds beyond specific actions. Building discipline in exercise creates discipline in other areas. Mastering morning routines makes evening routines easier. Discipline is a transferable skill. Building it in one domain strengthens it everywhere. The action step. Choose 3 non-negotiables you'll execute daily for the next 30 days. Make them specific and time-bound. Exercise 30 minutes at 6 a.m., not exercise sometime. Write them down. Track them daily with check marks. The visual tracking creates accountability and satisfaction as check marks accumulate. After 30 days, evaluate and adjust. but don't skip days. Chapter 4. Invest in yourself obsessively. Malcolm's fourth principle is treating yourself as your most valuable investment. Most people invest in houses, cars, and stocks, but never invest in themselves, their knowledge, skills, health, or mental state. This backwards priority keeps them trapped because your ability to earn, create, and succeed depends entirely on who you are, not what you own. He defines self-investment clearly, spending time and money on improving your capabilities, knowledge, health, and mindset. This includes books, courses, coaching, therapy, gym memberships, healthy food, skill development, and education. These aren't expenses. They're investments that return multiples of what you spend. Malcolm shares that he spends $20,000 annually on self-investment, books, courses, coaching, therapy, gym, seminars. People say they can't afford this level of investment. His response: you can't afford not to invest in yourself. Every skill learned, every improvement made, and every insight gained increases your earning power and life quality permanently. The ROI on self-investment is dramatically higher than traditional investments. Spending $1,000 on a course that teaches high-income skills can generate $10,000 to $100,000 plus in additional lifetime earnings. Spending $100 monthly on therapy that solves mental health issues preventing career success can return millions in avoided opportunity costs. The math heavily favors self-investment. He addresses the false economy of not investing. People refuse to spend $30 on books, but spend $200 monthly on cable and streaming. They won't invest $1,000 in business courses, but spend $5,000 annually on restaurants. The choice reveals priorities, entertainment over growth. This priority keeps them stuck. Malcolm introduces the 1% rule, investing minimum 1% of gross income in self-development. Someone earning $50,000 should invest at least $500 annually in books, courses, coaching, or training. This modest investment, applied strategically to skill development, returns far more than the initial cost. He emphasizes that self-investment has no ceiling. You can always learn more, become healthier, develop new skills, or improve mindset. Wealthy and successful people never stop investing in themselves. They're often the biggest consumers of books, courses, coaching, and training, not because they need it least, but because they understand its value most. The three areas Malcolm prioritizes for investment: knowledge, books, courses, seminars that teach valuable skills or insights; health, gym, healthy food, medical care that maintains physical and mental wellness; and mindset, therapy, coaching, personal development that improves thinking and behavior. Strong performance in all three areas creates foundation for everything else. He shares that the wealthy view themselves as appreciating assets. Through self-investment, they increase their value yearly. Someone who invests $5,000 annually in skill development for a decade has added capabilities worth far more than $50,000. They've potentially increased lifetime earning capacity by hundreds of thousands. The action step: calculate 1% of your annual income. Commit to spending at least that amount on self-investment this year. Identify the highest value investment. Is it a skill you need for career advancement? Is it therapy for mental health? Is it a gym membership for physical health? Make the investment within 30 days. Don't wait for perfect timing. Start now. Chapter 5. Control your inputs. What you consume shapes you. Malcolm's fifth principle is that you become what you consume. Not just food, but information, entertainment, relationships, and environments. Most people let random inputs flood their minds daily, without recognizing these inputs are programming their thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. He identifies the major input categories: media, news, social media, television, information, books, podcasts, articles, relationships, conversations, interactions, and environments, physical spaces where you spend time. Each category constantly influences your mindset, either building or destroying the person you're trying to become. The news consumption trap. Most news is negative, fear-based, and irrelevant to your life. Consuming hours of news daily creates anxiety, pessimism, and distraction without providing actionable information. Malcolm recommends eliminating news entirely or limiting it to brief weekly updates. Your life won't suffer from not knowing every crisis. It'll improve from reduced stress. Social media is equally toxic for most people. Endless scrolling creates comparison, inadequacy, and wasted time. Malcolm doesn't advocate total elimination, but strict limitations. Specific purposes: networking, education, business, time limits, 15 to 30 minutes daily max, and curated feeds. Unfollow negative content. Follow educational content. The garbage in, garbage out principle. If you consume garbage, tabloids, reality TV, toxic social media, negative news, you'll think garbage thoughts. If you consume quality, educational content, inspiring stories, strategic information, you'll think quality thoughts. Your outputs directly reflect your inputs. Malcolm shares his input strategy: zero news consumption, minimal social media, business purposes only, heavy reading, 2 to 3 books monthly, selected podcasts, educational only, and curated relationships, mostly growth-oriented people. This controlled input diet keeps his mind focused on growth rather than distracted by irrelevance. He addresses the pushback. But I need to stay informed. But I relax by watching TV. But I enjoy social media. Malcolm's response: you can stay informed without consuming news obsessively. You can relax without mind-numbing television. You can connect without endless social media. These are habits, not necessities. The environment principle. Your physical environment programs behavior. A messy, chaotic space creates messy, chaotic thinking. A clean, organized space creates clear, focused thinking. Malcolm recommends treating your living and working spaces as inputs that shape your mental state. Keep them clean, organized, and conducive to your goals. The relationship inputs. Every conversation either builds you up or tears you down. Negative people create negative thinking. Positive people create positive thinking. Strategic people create strategic thinking. Malcolm has ruthlessly curated his relationships toward growth-oriented people whose conversations inspire rather than drain. He introduces the replacement strategy. Don't just eliminate bad inputs without replacing them. If you eliminate news, replace with audiobooks. If you eliminate social media scrolling, replace with reading. If you eliminate toxic friends, replace with growth-oriented relationships. Nature abhors a vacuum. Fill it intentionally, or randomness fills it. The action step: conduct an input audit this week. Track what you consume. Hours on social media, television, news, books, conversations. Be brutally honest. Then identify the worst inputs, those providing zero value or negative value. Eliminate or drastically reduce them, replacing with high-value inputs. Within 30 days, notice how your thinking and mood improve dramatically from better input diet. Chapter 6. Set boundaries ruthlessly. Malcolm's 6th principle is establishing and enforcing boundaries that protect your time, energy, and mental health. Most people have no boundaries, so everyone takes what they want until nothing remains. Rebuilding yourself requires learning to say no often and without guilt. He defines boundaries clearly, limits you establish about what you will and won't accept in your life. Boundaries govern your time, what you commit to, your energy, what you engage with, your tolerance, what behavior you accept, and your priorities, what takes precedence. The people-pleasing trap is the enemy of boundaries. People-pleasers say yes to everything, prioritize everyone else's needs above their own, and feel guilty setting any limits. Result: they're constantly exhausted, resentful, and making zero progress on personal goals because everyone else's needs consume all their resources. Malcolm shares his boundary awakening. He realized that every yes to someone else was a no to himself. Saying yes to helping someone move was saying no to working on his business. Saying yes to attending events he didn't enjoy was saying no to rest and recovery. Once he understood this trade-off, boundaries became obvious. Protect time for priorities. The no practice. Most people agonize over saying no, so they say yes to avoid discomfort. Malcolm teaches saying no clearly, quickly, and without elaborate justification. I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available. The end. No long explanations that create opportunities for guilt tripping. He addresses the guilt. But they need me. But I'll disappoint them. But they'll think I'm selfish. Malcolm's response: their opinion isn't your responsibility. People who respect you will accept your boundaries. People who don't respect you will fight your boundaries, which reveals they never respected you. They just valued what you provided. The boundary categories Malcolm emphasizes: time boundaries, when you're available, when you're not; energy boundaries, what conversations you'll engage in, what drama you avoid; space boundaries, who can enter your home, what visits you accept; and emotional boundaries, what behavior you tolerate, what you reject. He introduces boundary violations consequences. Boundaries without consequences aren't boundaries, they're suggestions. If someone repeatedly violates your boundaries after being told, there must be consequences: reduced contact, ended relationship, or enforced distance. Otherwise, they learn boundaries don't matter. The action step: identify 3 areas where you need stronger boundaries, probably time, energy, and availability. Choose one boundary to establish this week. Maybe I don't answer calls after 8 p.m. Or I don't attend events that don't align with my goals. Or I don't engage in gossip conversations. Announce it if needed, then enforce it without exception. Chapter 7. Embrace discomfort as growth. Malcolm's 7th principle is that everything you want exists outside your comfort zone. Rebuilding yourself requires doing things that feel uncomfortable, scary, or difficult daily. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Discomfort is the price of transformation. He explains that your comfort zone is everything familiar: same routines, same people, same thoughts, same actions. This familiarity feels safe, but creates stagnation. Every new skill, new relationship, new opportunity, and new level of success exists outside current comfort. Growth requires leaving safety for uncertainty. The biological resistance to discomfort. Your brain is designed to avoid discomfort and seek comfort, because this kept ancestors alive. But in modern life, this instinct is counterproductive. The things your brain warns you away from: public speaking, starting businesses, difficult conversations, new experiences, are often exactly what you need for growth. Malcolm introduces manufactured discomfort. deliberately creating situations that challenge you. Take cold showers to build mental toughness. Speak in public to overcome fear. Have difficult conversations to build assertiveness. Try new activities to expand capabilities. Don't wait for discomfort. Seek it as training. The say yes to fear rule. When you feel fear about something that isn't genuinely dangerous, that's usually your signal to do it. Fear often indicates growth opportunities. The presentation that terrifies you is probably important for career advancement. The conversation you're avoiding probably needs to happen. The project that feels overwhelming is probably what takes you to the next level. He shares his practice of weekly discomfort. Every week, he does at least one thing that genuinely scares or challenges him. Some weeks it's business-related, launching new products, having difficult team conversations. Some weeks it's personal, trying new activities, visiting new places. This consistent discomfort practice has expanded his comfort zone dramatically. Malcolm addresses the "I'm not ready" trap. People wait to feel ready before taking action. But you never feel ready for things outside your comfort zone. That's why they're outside your comfort zone. Readiness comes through action, not before it. You become ready by doing, not by waiting. The growth zone model. Imagine 3 concentric circles. Inner circle is comfort zone, what you know and can do easily. Middle circle is growth zone, challenging but achievable with effort. Outer circle is panic zone, too difficult, overwhelming. Effective growth targets the growth zone, difficult enough to stretch you, but not so difficult you shut down. He emphasizes that discomfort is temporary, but growth is permanent. The presentation might be uncomfortable for 20 minutes, but the confidence and skills gained last forever. The difficult conversation might be stressful for an hour, but the resolution benefits you indefinitely. Short-term discomfort creates long-term benefits. Malcolm also teaches that discomfort tolerance builds like muscle. Your first cold shower is torture. Your 50th is manageable. Your first public speech might paralyze you. Your 10th speech feels routine. Consistent exposure to discomfort increases your capacity to handle it, expanding what feels manageable rather than terrifying. The action step. Commit to one weekly discomfort challenge for the next month. Choose something that genuinely challenges you but isn't dangerous. Maybe public speaking, approaching strangers, trying new activities, having difficult conversations, or physical challenges. Track your challenges. Notice how things that feel terrifying initially become manageable with repetition. Chapter 8. Track, measure, and adjust. Progress requires data. Malcolm's final principle is that rebuilding yourself requires tracking progress objectively. What gets measured gets managed. Without tracking, you're operating on feelings and guesses rather than data, which leads to stagnation disguised as progress. He emphasizes that most people think they're doing better than they actually are because they don't track. They think they exercised 4 times this week. They actually exercised twice. They think they read for an hour daily. It was 20 minutes. They think they worked on their business every day. It was 3 days. Tracking reveals reality. The areas Malcolm tracks obsessively: health, weight, workouts, sleep hours, food quality, productivity, work hours, projects completed, income generated, personal development, books read, courses completed, skills practiced, and time allocation, how every hour is spent. This tracking provides objective data about whether he's actually making progress or just feeling busy. The simple tracking system. Use a spreadsheet, app, or notebook to record key metrics daily. Don't overcomplicate. Track 5-10 most important measures. Review weekly to see patterns. Are your actions aligning with goals? Are you making actual progress or just staying busy? The data reveals truth. He introduces the scorecard concept. Your life is a game you're either winning or losing based on your own standards. Tracking creates a scorecard. If your goal is losing 20 pounds, but the scale shows you've gained 5, the scorecard says you're losing. If your goal is reading 50 books annually, but you've read 8 in 6 months, the scorecard shows you're off pace. Data prevents self-delusion. The weekly review ritual. Every Sunday, Malcolm reviews his tracking data from the past week, compares it to goals, and adjusts next week's plan. What worked? What didn't? What needs more focus? What needs elimination? This weekly adjustment keeps him aligned with goals rather than drifting. Malcolm emphasizes that tracking isn't about perfection, it's about awareness and adjustment. Bad weeks happen. The difference between people who make progress and those who don't is what they do after bad weeks. Without tracking, bad weeks blend into months of underperformance. With tracking, you identify problems immediately and correct course. The accountability dimension. Tracking creates self-accountability. When you know you'll review your numbers weekly, you make better daily choices. The person tracking daily exercise is more likely to exercise than someone who doesn't track. The visibility creates pressure to perform. The action step. Choose 5 key metrics aligned with your rebuilding goals. Maybe workouts per week, pages read daily, hours on business, dollars saved, hours of quality time with family. Track them daily for 30 days. Review weekly. Adjust based on data. This simple practice will transform your self-awareness and results more than almost anything else. There you have it. 8 powerful principles for completely rebuilding yourself. Accept brutal honesty that you created your current reality. Eliminate toxic people ruthlessly, even if they're family. Build unshakable daily discipline through non-negotiables. Invest in yourself obsessively. Control your inputs. What you consume shapes you. Set boundaries ruthlessly without guilt. Embrace discomfort as the price of growth. And track, measure, and adjust based on data, not feelings. Notice what this book demands. Complete ownership of your life. Uncomfortable elimination of people and habits. Daily discipline that never stops. Continuous self-investment. Ruthless boundary enforcement. Deliberate discomfort. And objective self-assessment. None of this is easy. None of this feels comfortable. All of it is absolutely necessary for rebuilding yourself. Malcolm's central message is uncompromising. If you want a completely different life, you need to become a completely different person. You can't have transformation without change. You can't have new results with old behaviors. You can't rebuild yourself while maintaining everything that created your current self. Something has to break for something new to build. The path forward is clear but demanding. First, complete that brutal honesty assessment. What choices created your current reality? Second, identify and eliminate your most toxic relationships within 30 days. Third, establish 3 non-negotiables you'll execute daily without exception. Fourth, make your first self-investment. Buy the book. Take the course. Hire the coach you've been avoiding. Fifth, conduct your input audit and eliminate the worst influences. Sixth, establish 1 major boundary and enforce it. Seventh, commit to weekly discomfort challenges. Eighth, Start tracking 5 key metrics daily. These 8 actions executed over the next 90 days will rebuild you completely. You won't recognize the person you become. More importantly, you'll finally recognize the person you always had the potential to become, but kept buried under other people's expectations, toxic relationships, undisciplined habits, and comfortable stagnation. Remember Malcolm's subtitle? Let your focus be on you every day. Not someday, not when things settle down, not when everyone else is happy. Every single day, your focus must be on rebuilding yourself. This isn't selfish, it's survival. You can't help anyone, achieve anything, or create the life you want until you build yourself into someone capable of doing those things. Thanks for watching this complete breakdown. If Malcolm's no-nonsense approach to self-reconstruction resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges you to actually change rather than just feel motivated. Comment with which principle you're implementing first. And remember, you're either building yourself or breaking yourself. There's no neutral. Every day without intentional self-development is a day of decay. Every person you tolerate who shouldn't be in your life is active destruction. Every boundary you fail to set is permission for others to consume what should be yours. Rebuild yourself or watch yourself crumble. The choice is yours, but you have to choose. Now stop watching videos and go do the work. Your rebuilt self is waiting.